The second part of our step says, believe what? This step is complete. It didn't say we had to believe everything. My God, God is awesome. We have to believe in one specific area. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could, didn't say he would, restore us to sanity. Now, boy, I got mad when I heard that. Wait a minute, I ain't crazy. I was in the nut house, but I wasn't crazy. I was telling the guys today about that. I really shudder when I hate to talk about that. Here I'm sitting in the nut house. Now, I was the smartest guy in the nut house. And in this particular nut house, we had a lot of mental patients in there, few alcoholics. Most of them had something else wrong with them. And this guy had been there for 10 or 12 years. He was one of the mainstays of the ward. And I was getting ready to go home, and he said, I want to talk to you. And I said, what do you want? What do you want? They was worse. You can't, it's like a bunch of flies. Get away. Get away. What do you want? And he kept on insisting on talking to kids. And this went on for all that morning, and I said, well, what do you want, man? He said, come here. He did me like this. So I went over and sat down on a little bench we had over there, and I said, what's the matter, man? What do you want? He said, you're getting ready to go home, aren't you? It got around the war that I was going home. I said, yeah. Now, this guy had been there 10 or 12 years and seeing alcoholics come and go. We all stay 30 days and get out and come back. This guy ain't never had an opportunity to get out of there. And he looked at me and he said, Joe, when you go home, if you don't drink no more, you won't have to come back here. Now, this man was crazy. He was a crazy man. See, he could see the truth, and I couldn't. Now, when they didn't say that I was crazy, we talk about the word sanity comes from the word sanitas, which means whole or complete of mind. And that's pretty hard to be. When we really think about it, I don't know if anybody is whole or complete at all times. No one is that way. Now, I had a problem with the word insanity. I didn't quite understand it. And, crazy means, if we think about somebody crazy, you might think a guy that's crazy probably has got quite a bit gone. He might be about like that. He's got a lot missing. You know what I mean? He's less than whole. You ain't really ready to get locked up till you get below half, and then they're going to lock you up, But crazy, insanity, so we might say that this guy is insane to a degree, because a lot of his is missing. Now, the alcoholic is not the crazy. It said that in one area, the book said, in all other areas, he's got great judgment. Got a great mind. I've never seen a dumb alcoholic. I see him do some dumb things. But I usually see sharp, intelligent people. But when it comes to alcohol, this one little sliver here, something is missing. When we look at our logic or our judgment toward the first drink. Now, our book says the thing that it seems to, we have some failures. We have a bad memory, too, about alcohol. It says, our book talks about it, this little point, he said the same defense that keeps us from putting our hand on a hot stove. Now, I have been burned by a stove or something. I've been burned by something like that several times. And I remember it. I remember the time I was a kid. And my dad came home from a place where he worked, and they had those, he worked at an automobile place, and they had those great, big, huge Lincolns, you know. And back in those, none of the younger people will remember that, most of you won't hear, but we used to pull those, I would pull that cigarette lighter out. They used to have a wire on the end of the cigarette lighter that went into it. And it was red, and I put my finger on it. I never shall forget. It burned the hell out of me. That happened one time, and I remember it to today. Now that's that's normal. You're supposed to remember that. But alcohol burned me thousands of times, and I never could remember it. I would say, this time it won't burn me. And it said, restore me to sanity. And sanity is to believe a lie. Whenever I picked up a drink, I believed that I can drink. And my book talks about this strange mental blank spot. Oh, we're fine. Yeah, we can run the show from here to here. But when it comes to that strange mental blank spot, I as an individual, if you're an alcoholic, you are defenseless against that first drink when that occurs. You are defenseless. And what we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. You know, and my book talks about after you work the steps, after the 10th step, it says sanity will have returned. It says we can make sound decisions about drinking. You know, as a result of these steps, we are made whole. Well, here at the second step, all we have to do is to believe this. Now, it didn't say that it didn't say the alcoholic is crazy. He ain't all gone. He just ain't all there. You know what I mean? That little piece, when it comes to alcohol, it's got something missing. You know, it would be insane for me tonight to go take a drink. And the only way I could go take a drink tonight is I would have to believe that I can drink. When every alcoholic walks into a bar or liquor store, he believes that he can drink. You know, he goes in there and he said, mister, I'm going to have a good time this time. You know what I mean? It ain't going to hurt me. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get a DWI. You know what I mean? I believe I'm going to just have a drink, have a good time, and go home. And he takes that drink. But then the same thing occurs. And he gets in trouble. Now, the truth is he can't drink. You can't walk in the bar on truth. You can't walk in the bar and say, hey, mister, like I would have to do. Say, hey, mister, I had some of this to drink 24 years ago. I ended up in the nut house, like damn near killed me. I lost my job. I almost lost my family. I almost lost my life. How much would you charge me? How much is another bottle of that stuff cost? I want to buy some more of that fun. I would have to be in a strange mental blank spot to do that. So all we have to do here at this point to begin is to believe that this can happen to you. That's all you got to do. You don't have to know it. You don't have to have faith in it. All you have to do is to believe that you can do it. And this is the second step. So the first step tells us where we are. And once we see where we are, the second step gives us an alternative. You know, you can't take an alternative until you see where you see the first step. You don't need an alternative. But once you see the vulnerable position as you're powerless, then you can say, I believe I should be over here. And these steps are not any time. This is, like we said, the 12-step plan of recovery is as simple as anybody. You know, I love, every time I think about this step, I think about the prodigal son. He used this same program. He was in trouble. He sounded a little bit alcoholic too. You know, there were three things in that story that were lost. There was a sheep that was lost, and when the sheep are lost, it's not the sheep's fault. Sheep's a dumb animal. And the reason the sheep is lost is the shepherd lost the sheep. See, the shepherd lost the sheep because he's the one that watches them, controls them. So he allowed the sheep to get away, and the sheep was lost. And the shepherd went out and found it. That was his responsibility. And this woman lost a coin. In those days, they would sew coins into their hats. And this woman lost one of her coins, and it's like the women that wear them on their wrists. And she treasured this. So she went around the house, and it wasn't the coin's fault. She lost it. So it was her responsibility. She swept diligently until she found it. And then there was the prodigal son that was lost. See, but the prodigal son, didn't nobody lose him. He left on his own. He said, give me, he was waiting to get his inheritance. He said, I want mine now. So he left on his own and got out and had a good time. Said wine, women, and songs. So that sounded like one of us. And he spent all. That sounds like one of us. And he ended up in the pig pen. Golly. That's where I ended up, in the pig pen. All of us got our own pig pens. And he was in the pig pen. He hadn't took the first step. He was going around probably working their day, slapping them hogs, talking about, boy, when our ship come in, everything going to be all right. Shucking and jiving himself. You know what I mean? It ain't really that bad, you know. I'm just going to drink a little beer, you know. And one day he was able to take the first step. Thank God. See, the woman found the coin, and the shepherd found the sheep. And the prodigal son found himself. He found himself. You know, he got some reality. He said, look, I'm in the damn pig pen. Come on. Other guy with him probably say, hey, man, you've been here. He saw himself in the pig pen of his life. And then after he saw himself in the pig pen, he said, you know, I came to believe that they're eating better. The servants is eating better at my father's house. He saw an alternative after he saw where he was. Then once he saw these two things, then he made a decision, he took some action, and he got back to his father's house. You know what I mean? Things got good for him. I get in trouble with this story all the time. I'm going to tell the last of it tonight. I usually don't. They ain't around tonight too much. But they said when he got back to his father's house, they had a big party for him. God, they killed a fatted calf, and they was partying back, you know. Music was playing, and they was having a good time. One old servant started up in the field, you know, and his brother was up there. His old brother was up there in the field, and his old brother said, what's going on down there, man? Said, they're having a party. A party? What kind of party? He said, for your brother. He said, which one? The one that was lost. He said, you mean that one that's been out raising hell, drinking whiskey, chasing women and doing all that? Why, I've been here all these years working, and they giving him a party, and I've been here working all these years, and they never had a party. He was mad. They say that was the guy that went out and started Al-Anon. These steps are all the simple procedure. Come in. Once we see where we are, and then we set an alternative, we are powerless, and we believe. It didn't say we know. We believe that this power, and it says we cross over the bridge of reason to the shores of faith. We reason. If it worked for him, I believe it'll work for me. Then if we have these two things, then we can proceed into step 3. And step 3 carries us into how do we get from here to here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the steps which we take. This journey from step 1 to step 2. And if we see that where we are, and we believe that this power, we have but two alternatives. Life as we've been living it, our life on a spiritual basis. Then it brings us to step 3 next week, which is we ought to make a decision, or to choose which course of action we want. This is our individual decision. But these first 2 steps put us for the first time in a position of some decision for the first time in our life. We really can, these steps give us an opportunity for something better. So next week we'll be at the turning point, and we'll begin with step 3.